Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Whiskey Wednesday Show with your hosts Ken Tizzard and Music for Goats. Brought to you in full color and stereo sound amplification provided by Trainer. Broadcasting into the world from Storyhouse Studios in Campbellford, Ontario, you'll hear the best of old country, folk, Americana, punk rock, and 80s music delivered into your homes every week for free. And don't forget your regular dose of new and original songs from Music for Goats. Never be alone on a Wednesday night again, 8 p.m. Eastern and 9:30 for those of you in Newfoundland. Join the Whiskey Wednesday regulars on Facebook to be a part of the conversation, or watch on YouTube as well. Pour a drink, a cup of tea, or a nice cold long tooth. Roll up your best smoke and sit back and relax. Don't forget to hit the share button to help spread the word. The Whiskey Wednesday Show, every week. Cheers.
The voice without the dialogue. That's a very different intro. I was just watching that intro. I thought, fuck, I haven't seen that before. And I realized, no, I have seen it before, of course. I was just, there was no audio on it. And I think that watching it without the audio is very interesting. So maybe, next time you're all tuning in, keep the audio off just for the intro.
Next time I watch Music for Goats,
see what you think
I'll
about
try
it. Yeah. Next time you tune in for Music for Goats, so make sure to keep the audio off. It's a much more interesting experience. Welcome to the Whiskey Wednesday Show. My name is Ken Tizzard. We're Music for Goats, broadcasting out of Storyhouse Studios in Campbellford, Ontario. Show produced by Allison and technically produced by Barry Tuig. How you doing tonight, Barry?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Tuning in here on the Clubhouse, Richard, nice to see you. Tony, Jordan, Sabaticad. I'm saying that wrong. Sabaticad. No, I think that might be right. Or Sabaticade. Either way, hello from Twitch. Tony, Steve from Aereo, Ontario. I didn't know we had a place called Aereo, Ontario.
It's part of Norwood.
Is it?
Yeah.
Norwood Aereo.
Yeah, it's right near the library.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay. Maybe he wants to go back and revisit our library argument. Allison's doing her homework tonight to get the fanzine out tomorrow. I don't know if Allison, I think it's already, yeah. I think, she's closing in. She's closing in, let's say that. But she's not stressed like she usually is, which is great. She's just taking care of it. She's just taking care of all of it in the other room.
Dissenting opinion there, I think.
Yeah. Mike Steenberg, good to see you. Time to rest your back. There you go. Yeah, sit down and rest your back. Jeannie, Joe, the whole gang we've got here. Excellent. It's Jeremy Robin. Okay, that's what I thought, Jeremy. I just wasn't sure. Sabaticad is Jeremy Robin, for those of you who were wondering. Hey, Ron, how you doing? The brain behind the show is Allison, of course, as if you didn't know that. Debbie says she's back in Belleville, and she's Debbie now. Okay, excellent. And Debbie was having some profile issues earlier. She thought that I had been duplicated, but I think it might have been one of your many accounts there, Debbie. I think I've got you on the right one now, though, because that's the profile picture I remember from seeing earlier today. Debbie Parson, nope, still Randy. Can't fool us. True enough. Tonight's a real special show. I sat down to chat with Tom Thorne. Tom's an old friend from Newfoundland, and a bunch of stories we didn't get into. And hey, Michael Monroe, is this the main feed? I think so. I'm not sure where you are, but this is a feed. Go to the Ken Tizzard Music Facebook page. I think that's where most of the people are hanging out, but you look like you're in the right place to me. Anyways, Tom Thorne, who everybody in my circle knows from back home. He was a singer for a bunch of bands, played bass for a bunch of bands, did a bunch of artwork for people's for posters and show gigs and stuff like that. And he was always sort of the coolest guy around. He was that guy. And anyways, I had a chance to chat with him, and we're going to talk about a whole bunch of Newfoundland stuff tonight. We're going to play some Newfoundland music for you. I'm going to start with a song about home, for me, called Home. And it goes like this, sending it out to Tom tonight. Somebody's got some cheap viewers for us over there on castachart.com. If anybody needs some viewers for the show, that's where to go. I'm good with the gang we got. I'm good with the gang. This is Home. The city harbor lies behind the chain link fence. You can see it From a distance, you can even feel the wind, but you can't walk out on that dock and stand beside the sea-torn freighters. Sense those stories of the lives that live within. You can't have it the way it was, have to take it as it is. Those times have changed, those days are gone. Those days are past but not forgot. You can't stop the winds of change, forever in your mind, self-same. Oh, don't be sad. We were blessed for what we had. Those days are gone, the memories cast in stone, and I know I'm not alone, and it chills me to the bone in this place called home. Hey Clarky, how you doing, brother? You can't lose what you don't own. The deepest ties you'll ever know hurt so bad to let you go. And I thought that I just called to say hello to this place called home. Down Water Street, the storefronts changed a few blocks north. Who'd ever blame? To fight against this hurt and change and waiting game. How many words can twist and burn like spark to hay? No further down, no further down this hurting old time road we'll stray. Have to take it as it is. Those times have changed, those days are gone. Those days are past but not forgot. You can't stop the winds of change, forever in your mind, self-same. Lord, don't be sad. We were blessed for what we had. Those days are gone, the memories cast in stone, and I know I'm not alone, and it chilled me to the bone in this place called home. You can't lose what you don't own. The deepest ties you'll ever know hurt so bad to let you go. And I thought that I just came to say hello to this place called home. The city harbor lies behind the chain link fence. You can see it from a distance, you can even feel the wind. Oh, a song called Home. I almost always dedicate that one to Clarky. We were together when I was inspired to write it when we drove downtown and saw the chain link fence around the harbor where we used to skateboard. And that whole song is about sort of what Tom talks about tonight a lot, and we're going to get into so much of it. I'm really excited for you to hear what he's doing. There was a group of us that I keep circling back onto in a lot of my conversations with friends, and that was a group from sort of 83 to 89, maybe even 82, and some of the most fantastic people that I've ever been in my life from back then, and that song is kind of about that too. It's just like those days aren't here anymore. I mean, we talk a lot. We're going to talk a lot about a place called Bounders tonight. And, Bounders was a bar that, the origin story of that bar is kind of interesting because I had just started dating a girl named Paula. And, just as we were starting to date, she grabbed a gig at this place called Bounders that a guy named Jack was opening up. Now, I know Lil used to work next door at Mary Jane's, and tonight Tom's going to tell the story about how the PTR band was the first band to play there. I've also heard from different sources, all these other people saying that they were the first band to play there. I'd love to get the actual history down. And I think, Paula, you might know it if you do have it, because I remember Paula starting to work there and just going there and drinking. It was just her, because we were dating, so it was just me and her and Jack, the owner. And Paula would call all of her drinking friends, and there was a lot of them, and they'd come down there and start drinking. And the first show I remember there was actually Dead Reckoning, coming in from out of town. But I might have missed the period that Tom is talking about tonight. That might have been pre Paula starting to work there. But either way, there's all these interesting stories about this place. But comes back to it again. Those places and those times are seriously gone. you know, to think about what happened in those rooms and the way that we put on concerts and the stuff that we got up to, and it's just amazing that we got through it, you know. This is a Ron Hines song, going back out to some more of the Newfoundlanders. Clark, I'm thinking about you a lot these days, buddy. Out in the day when I get a chance on my skateboard, and I keep turning around thinking, where's Clark? Where is he? Why is he not here next to me? You ready there, Neil?
Yep.
With the 20th century still in bloom in fair Conception Bay, oh, the world turned around, men were bound, all for the USA, all for the USA. Onto the streets of a New York town, they poured like morning tides to raise the concrete and the steel up to the New York sky, up to the New York sky. Can you read and write? Can you drink and fight? Can you take the nights alone? You can make a life for a child and a wife while far away from home, while far away from home. Or you can tip your hat to a Chelsea girl, she'll free you from the cold. She'll lend a tender loving ear to every story told, to every story told. And you got the hands, have you got the heart, have you got the cold heel nerve? You can rant and roar on a New York floor and you'll get what you deserve. You'll get what you deserve. Have you got the hands, have you got the heart, have you got the cold steel nerve? You can rant and roar on a New York floor and you'll get what you deserve. You'll get what you deserve. Well, there's them who'll fold and them who'll freeze and crawl home in dismay and curse the hand of God above. They'll break right down and pray. They'll break right down and pray. With the 20th century still in bloom in fair Conception Bay, oh, the world turned round and men were bound, all for the USA, all for the USA. Oh, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. A little song called For the USA, a Ron Hines classic in my mind. Okay, so we're going to get into the first part of the Tom Thorne interview here. Now, Tom is one of several Newfoundland interviews I've done, and I got to say, Newfoundland, what is it with your internet? They've all been like so glitchy, and you know, it's like I'm in my basement. The internet should be good here. It's like, wow, okay, you're kind of feels like you're broadcasting from Mars. It was one of those weird things. But the story, we started talking, and before we could really even get into it, we got lost in the story, and we chatted for an hour, and I watched back over it, and I thought, you know something. What he's saying is great. You know, his lag is a little bit jittery in the video, but the audio is good. And what he's talking about, there's so many great visuals to go along with it. So I put this together. And as I mentioned, Tom Thorne is a good friend, and I'm not going to introduce him anymore. We're going to get into it right now. Here's the first installment of Thomas Thorne from St. John's, Newfoundland.
Good to see you. What?
Hey, you too. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, boy. I'm good. It's
Long
been
time
a
no
long
see.
time since I've seen you face to face.
Yeah. Yeah, long
Uh,
time.
Ladies and gentlemen, today on the show, we've got a special guest, an old friend of mine from back home in Newfoundland. Tom, you were a few years older than me, but our circles crossed through music and basically the Newfoundland skate and punk culture.
Yeah, I think we met in like maybe 85.
That's what I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have been 18.
Right.
Maybe even 84, boy, maybe.
I think it might have been 84. Because you like I said, you were part of the little bit older scene than me. And you had been originally you started playing with Public Enemy, right? You were the original bass player for Public Enemy.
Yeah. I never played live with them, but for the first handful of practices, I was playing bass, and it was me and Craig Murray, Dave Clark on drums, and Bob Average on guitar.
Wow.
And then I left, and then that's when John Pastore joined the band.
Yeah, that's when Pastore came in. Yeah, so you were, and by the time that had happened, that was when I kind of came in the scene. Like Tough Justice and Schizoid and all that stuff was happening. Public Enemy was kind of, just phasing out. So I think it was probably 84 when we met.
You just hold on one sec, sir. I gotta turn off that fan. It's making a bad noise. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. So we go back to, and I'm always talking about this sort of period of time in the 80s when we had, the skateboard culture and the punk rock culture and the new wave culture, and there was all of us sort of people between 14 and 20, and then there was a whole other group of people between like 35 and 50 from the acting community, the Codco gang.
Yeah.
It was kind of merged into this big incestual mass of artistic craziness that existed for a few years, which was, when I look back on it now at 55, I've never seen another time in my life when the sort of intergenerational artistic communities got together like that. And I think it was kind of a perfect storm in Newfoundland. Now, there's been lots of documentaries or lots of documenting of the Newfoundland punk rock sort of history scene, but a lot of what I've seen is focused more on the late 80s, early 90s. Now, in talking to you recently, you're starting to work on a project that's going back a little bit further, and going to talk about the original sort of punk rock scene in Newfoundland, like starting back with the Slime and the Riot and bands like that sort of really fostered
the Reaction.
Yeah, bands that really sort of fostered the scene that we were part of, me and you,
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that project? You got some great people involved with it. What's going on?
Yeah, we're basically I've been trying to get this on the go for like 12 years. And, just, overwhelming thinking about all the people you got to contact, all the assets and the music. And it's just overwhelming. And then when Mike Heffernan came out with his book, Let It All Fall.
That's right.
I was like, okay, here we go. I've got a template. He's already done interviews, voice recording interviews with a couple hundred people, which I can access. And he sort of got kind of a rough timeline of the scene. Yeah. So originally, I talked to Mike and said, okay, we're going to use your book and license your book and go from there. But then as I started to progress with it, I was like, well, I don't want to just do music. There's a whole like you just said, there's this whole theater crowd. Half the people that played in bands were actors in the theater. Half the actors played in the bands. Like it was, like you said, it was one big massive scene. You go to a show, everybody would be there.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I got to include this. So basically, as I got my team together, we basically went from like, okay, let's start in mid 70s with Codco.
Yeah.
Right. Then we'll go into the theater scene. Cause I mean, the Slime, they were basically like a theater group playing, like they wore costumes and had all kinds of props and everything. And it was like watching theater, but they were up there on this early punk rock stuff. So then I was like, okay, so we're going to combine it all. So it just kept growing and growing and growing. And, there was Cat Fudd and Corey and Wade's Playhouse with like Rick Mercer and Angie Younghusband, all of them came out of. I was like, we got to get in. And, you'd go to the shows and Rick Mercer be up in front of you slam dancing on the dance floor. It was like, so basically we got to the point where it just grew and grew and grew. But we're at the point now where I have an amazing team together. We got our deck sheet, everything all done. And the next stage now is go talk to some broadcasters and distributors and get some money and hopefully be able to get this thing made.
That's amazing. That's amazing. This has spun off into, did this spin off, or was this a spin off from the idea of doing the T-shirts for Screech NL, which is the thing that caught
for Screech NL? I said I've been trying to get this documentary. I've had it brewing in my head for 10 or 12 years, and so that idea would have obviously come first. The T-shirt business kind of, ScreechNL.com kind of, it wasn't my plan to launch a website selling T-shirts, okay? I was basically 5 or 6 months ago, I was going through some old backup disc and stuff, and I found some photos of some Thomas Trio and the Red Albino T-shirts I had designed back in like 90, 91, 92.
Yeah.
I didn't have the original files because back then I didn't have a computer. It was all hands-on, right? Yeah. So it was just photos. And I was like, I'm going to recreate these now on the computer for a laugh. So I recreated the Thomas Trio ones. And I sent them off to Louis and stuff. And he was like, oh, yeah, cool. I was like, maybe we could sell these. He's like, well, I was like, how? And then he suggested, he said, well, we'd probably be interested if we could like donate some of the sales to some kind of fund. Right. And I was like, well, how about the fund you and your brothers created for your mom? Yeah. The Roberta Thomas Legacy Award, which gives like $1,500 a year through Neighborhood Dance Works to a local artist.
Yeah.
And I was like, sounds perfect. So then I was like, well, I can't just sell Thomas Trio shirts. So I reached out and contacted every single person I possibly can that I knew in different bands. And basically now I've got like 30 something different bands and businesses and like over 100 different designs, and it just grew. So it took a while to get going because I basically had to recreate pretty much every T-shirt design from scratch because most of them were like photos of some guy wearing a T-shirt from 86 or something, and or black and white flyers from posters and shows and stuff. So that took a while to recreate all them. And then I had to get permission from every member of every band, of every business, get them to sign off on it. So that took another couple months.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, it finally all came through. And pretty much over 90% of the bands or businesses or members of the bands have donated their royalties from the sales to the fund as well. So pretty much all the money, besides what goes to the printers and, some business expenses, it's all going to this fund.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty good. The site's only been up for about 4 or 5 weeks. We've almost had 80 orders so far.
Awesome. And I've got,
in terms of shirts, and we're about a third. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I got all the artwork for the shirts. We'll put them in to let people see what they look like as well, because they're very cool looking designs. Yeah.
There's some great designs there.
There really are, and you've done an amazing job. I want to get to your art history or your art life in just a minute. But as an aside, for those of you watching, Roberta Thomas. So Robbie, as we know her, for me it was Danny Thomas's mom, Robbie, and Danny had his brothers Louie and Lil, and Danny, Louie, and Lil, and Jody Richardson were the Thomas Trio and the Red Albino, with a few other members that popped in over the years, Laurie Cooper and stuff. But that was the core four. Now, growing up as a teenager in Newfoundland, Robbie Thomas was the one who made sure all the girls were on the pill, made sure the guys were wearing condoms. If you had a bad acid trip, you'd go to Robbie's house and she'd talk you down from it. She was the adult teenager amongst us that kept us all kind of, gave us a place where we could go get
100%
without getting parental bullshit. And Robbie,
and you got to remember a lot of those bands that formed that came out in the 80s, they all had some kind of connection to Robbie and Fleming Street.
Absolutely, they did. Fleming Street was a jam house. It was a party house. It was a safe house. And Robbie made that available for all of us. And she became kind of the downtown mom for, like, I know for the downtown kids, the ones that the Johnny Fishers and Sebastian and Dean and all the ones that live downtown, it was a real tight core with them. But even for me, being a suburban kid coming down, Robbie took me under her wing. And I mean, every time there was a bad thing, she was there to help me through it. So it's so amazing.
Same here. I grew up in the suburbs too, but I spent all my time downtown, and especially at Fleming Street.
Exactly. And it's so amazing after all these years to hear that there's something happening, that all these bands from back then are now giving back to the Roberta Thomas Legacy Fund, which is amazing. It's amazing that it exists, and I'm so happy that people are a part of it. So that's a very incredible thing too. So back to your history again. We met in the punk scene. You were singing for bands, you were playing bass, you were a musician, but at the same time, you were a little bit on the outskirts as an artist. And after your time with PTR and all these great bands, I mean, PTR were a big part of the scene. I'm sure you'll be doing a lot about it in the documentary. The PTR stood for the Part-Time Reggae Band, right?
Yep. And that was basically the first lineup of that was Lil and Louie.
Yeah.
Lil Thomas on lead guitar, Louie Thomas on drums.
Yeah.
Terry Stone on sax.
That's right.
Singing percussion. Jerry Wood on bass.
Yeah.
And Todd McLean on guitar. And Tara Ralph on keyboards. I think that was the first lineup.
Wow. And this was,
and we started jamming at Fleming Street, just for a laugh, playing reggae and stuff. And then we suddenly had our first real gig. Probably one of our very first gig was opening up for Lillian Allen, who came down to do a benefit show. I think for the Peace Accord, maybe the first or second year.
Could have been, yeah. That sounds.
And we played at the BIS, what is it? The Benevolent Irish Society.
Irish Society, yeah.
Yeah, we played in there, and then after that, we just started getting more gigs, and then we sort of became the housebound for Bounders when it opened up. Lil was working at Mary Jane's, which was right next door to Bounders. And Jack, who was setting up Bounders, used to go in there every day and like a sandwich and a coffee while it was renovating. And then one day, Lil just said, "Hey, what are you doing over there?" He's like, "Oh, opening up in a bar and stuff." He's like, "What kind of bar?" He's like, "Oh, I don't know." He's like, "Do you want to have a band?" And he's like, "Sure." And Lil was like, "I got a band." He's like, "You want to play this weekend?" All right. And it's like, Lil calls us up. We got a gig. Yeah. And basically, that very first show at Bounders, which basically became the prime factor, the alternative bar to go to every weekend. The very first show was PR with Dog Meat Barbecue opening.
Yeah.
And we basically became the house band for the first 3 or 4 weeks with a different band opening for us. We kept our gear there. We rehearsed there during the days, and it's a great spot.
That's a common thing in Newfoundland, actually, sort of leaving your gear around. It always amazed me.
You can't do that now.
It amazed me that you used to leave a bass amp here and a drum kit there, and you just bring it from club to club and use whatever was there. But yeah, too many skeets down there nowadays.
Oh yeah, big time.
I think that's the first time I've used the word skeet. I'm not sure if I like it. I don't know if I like the sound of it. Skeet. I mean, I get what it means. It's become a real popularized term back home. It was a rare term growing up. But it's interesting, yeah. I think there's even I don't know, I gotta look into that word and see a little bit how I feel about it coming off the tongue. Tom Thorne, such great memories talking to him. Just hearing his voice, he's got a very unique voice as well. Just hearing his voice brings me back. Oh man, what a crazy bunch of years. We got him coming back for part 2 in a little bit. We're gonna play a few songs first. Another song on the similar theme of days gone by. The set's kind of curated like that tonight, pretty much all around, just to kind of, we're revisiting a time that's no longer. So it's a nice thing to celebrate it in music, and as well as what Tom is doing with the T-shirts and the Roberta Thomas Legacy Fund and the documentary that they're trying to put together. So we'll play this one here. It's another on tune for you all. And And I dreamed it was 1962. I dropped a quarter in the jukebox and I played a song for you. I kissed you by the pinball king. We were listening to Del Shannon sing. I had all his records. He was my favorite then. And that's all gone. It won't come back again. That's all gone. It won't come back again. I woke and I put on my father's shoes. I stood out on the front porch like he used to do. I stepped across the morning sands. The skyline only showed a sign of rain. Mine would be the only footprints that remain. That's all gone. It won't come back again. That's all gone. It won't come back again. It was something I meant to say. Too many words got in the way. And I dreamed that it was 1962. I lit a fire on a beach and I lay in the sand with you. We'd sing songs until the rains would come. Straight across the fields we would run. You wrapped your sweater around my first guitar. I walked you home. That's all gone. It won't come back again. That's all gone. It won't come back again. It was something I meant to say. Too many words got in the way. And I dreamed that it was 1962. I dropped a quarter in the jukebox and I played a song for you. I kissed you by the pinball king. We were listening to Del Shannon sing. I had all his records. He was my favorite then. Well, him and Brian Wilson, that's all gone. It won't come back again. That's all gone. It won't come back again. Hey, 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 hey. Yes, Debbie, I know I wasn't even born in 1962. I was born in 1969, but I didn't write that song. And I reflect and relate to the song as if it was a further year, like maybe 1979, which as a 10-year-old I would probably remember. First guitar, beaches, girlfriends, maybe 13, so maybe 1983. Maybe that's where some of these songs are coming from. Steve Runyons is missing. I hope you just mean from the message board. I haven't seen him recently. I did hear that he was out he was out recently. Somebody said they saw him this weekend. So no, I don't think he's missing. He might just not be here tonight. Skateboarding. The MLM, we're going to go with the skateboard picture first. The MLM skateboard is shipping in August. There it is. I don't know how many, if any, are left. It was only a small run. It's a great freestyle board. It's also a great piece of merchandise. If you're looking for like a piece of art, like a wall hanger, similar to what we have next to Mr. Grant there. That's good, Barry. Thank you. And it's a fun little piece. It's actually a professional. It's a professional freestyle deck, so it's a really nice quality deck too if you do skate. Out of one of Canada's only freestyle companies, MLM Skates. I think it's one of only freestyle skateboard companies left in Canada. And great bunch of people, and nice working with them. Working with Tim Lee as well on the artwork's been really cool. Skateboarding in the Olympics, there's been some really cool stuff there. I'm trying to tune into a little bit of the sports stuff, but mostly Olympic stuff that I tune into has nothing to do with sports. It has more to do with testicles. And, I don't know. I know when mine are hanging out, but either way, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, there's some great skating happening there.
I guess to carry forward with that, so when are you saying?
No, it's all good right now. But I will tell you, remember last week I showed that funny video, and it had the, I'll tell you when to go to the picture, Barry, because it'll come at a time that makes sense. So I've been having a great time skateboarding. And again, sort of as a, I've been calling myself the ambassador to older skateboarders. It's a bit tongue-in-cheek, of course. I know nothing. I'm only sharing my own experience. But as a 55-year-old going back to skateboarding, I have had a lot of older skateboarders reach out and say that they've been, sort of watching stuff, and it's inspiring, or it's helping them on their journey or whatever. And that's cool. I really don't know anything. I'm having a great time doing it. But I've been pushing myself. I have been pushing myself. And it's one of those things where, like a couple of weeks ago, I tried that drop in. I was thinking, I got to get these roll-ins before I can do the full drop in. And you saw the slam that I took last week. And a couple of days later, I took a picture after the bruise started to fade. You got that bruise picture there, Barry? There it is. So that's the entirety of my thigh. That's about 14 inches of bruise. That was pretty nasty. That's enough of that, Barry.
Certainly is.
But it's really interesting because something at that point I was like, I need a teacher. I need somebody who's going to show me how to do my drop-ins, and then I can take it to the next level. And I reached out to a guy, a cool guy named Ryan from Belleville. Super nice guy. He drove up, and we had an hour together on Saturday morning. And it was amazing because the same way that I get bass students, I used to get them coming to me saying, I want to learn this Geddy Lee, I want to learn YYZ, or I want to learn this Tool tune, or I want to learn this super complicated thing. And I'm like, okay, but do you know what your scales are? Do you know why you want to play these notes? Like the major scale, let's work on the major scale. And they'll learn it in one key. And I'm like, okay, so you can play it in G. So now what does the major scale look like in D? And they're like, I don't know. And they take a few minutes and then they kind of figure it out. I'm like, okay, until all that stuff is breathing, the other stuff is it's not really the way to go, right? And so when Ryan showed up, he's like, so what do you want to learn today? I said, I really want to learn how to drop in. I said, I need to get that down so I can sort of move forward with what I'm doing. And he said, okay, well, he said, let's just put you in the pool for a bit. Let's just see you move around. I said, okay. And he said, okay. He said, how are you when you sort of do that thing where you go up one side, then you just come back up and you don't turn, you go back up the other side backwards, and then you go back and forth again. I said, yeah. I said, that's I used to do that when I was learning how to do everything. He said, okay, do that for me for a bit. And I did it for a couple minutes. He's like, yeah, so before we get to dropping in, you got to do this for 100 hours. And it was a reminder to me. It was and then, I'm thinking, oh, that fucking bruise, do I want to try dropping in again and hurting it more? And it suddenly occurred to me, what am I doing? I'm trying to jump into this, sort of whole new level of, competitive skating that people have been doing who do it for years. And the last few days, it's been so rewarding because I'm going back to just sort of going out on the street, driving it around, doing some spins, maybe driving over a curb or, doing a little grind or something and having fun. And the freestyle stuff is so great. I'm going to get back more into that because that's really just moving around in place. And that's so much fun. I'm not giving up on the other stuff by any stretch, but it's not my goal to keep sort of this crazy level of work going for that. So just a little sort of commentary on sort of, because I've been doing this now for about 6 months, and just a little commentary on sort of where my head changed just recently when a teacher kind of brought me back to the alphabet before completing my novel. And it was a really eye-opening experience. We're going to play 2 more songs before we get into the next Tom video. The second song is actually a dedication for Tom. It's a stiff little finger tune that we did years ago with Steve upstairs, I believe it was. And we're going to show that in a second. But before we do that, we're going to play a new song for you. This is a song called Already Gone. It's another one of these ones that sort of looks back at, things and people who aren't around anymore. And sometimes you wonder, how did that happen? It goes just like this. Georgie Thorne in the house, along with Clark Hancock, two of my favorite people in the world. So nice to see you. We're going to play this song right now. I'm going to dedicate this to George and Clarky as well, because they were part of the whole team back home, the whole punk rock St. John's scene team. Alison chose this video as a dedication for Tom, because Tom is a big Stiff Little Fingers fan. I think Tom might have been one of the first people who introduced me to Stiff Little Fingers. I seem to remember me and Clark being with him, and he had a cassette or something, but for some reason I seem to have a real memory of Tom with Stiff Little Fingers. So we're going to play a little Wasted Life, taking you back here. I'm not sure how far back this is, but it is in the old upstairs studio and with Steve. So here's a little Stiff Little Fingers, Wasted Life for all the newfies.
I could be a soldier, go out there and fight to save this land. Be a people's soldier, paramilitary gun in hand. I won't be a soldier, I won't take no orders from no one. Stuff the fucking armies, killing isn't my idea of fun. And they wanna waste my life, they wanna waste my time, they wanna waste my life, and they've stolen it away. I could be a hero, live and die for their important cause. A united nation or an independent state with laws. The rules and regulations that merely cause disturbances and wars. That's all that I've got now, all thanks to the freedom-seeking hordes. And they wanna waste my life, they wanna waste my time, they wanna waste my life, and they've stolen it away. I'm not gonna be taken in. They say if I don't join, I just can't win. I've heard this story many times before, and every time I'm going out the door. Ooh, still they come up to me with a different name, but the same old face. I can see the connection with another time and another place. Now they ain't blonde-haired and blue-eyed, but they think that they're the master race. But they're nothing but blind fascists brought up to hate and give lives to waste. And they're gonna waste my life, they're gonna waste my time, they're gonna waste my life, and they've stolen it away. What they gonna do? They're gonna waste my life, they're gonna waste my time, they're gonna waste my life, and they've stolen it away. Oh yeah, they've stolen it away. Oh yeah, they've stolen it away.
There we go. A little new version of Stiff Little Fingers. Interesting. Wow, that was back in the day when we used to all face each other, because I used to say things like, "You guys don't know this song, but watch my hands."
I miss that.
Yeah. Richard says Danny opened for 5440 last weekend at Key. Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, I'm glad he did that. That's great. He's getting out and doing more of that. Steve Ustle follow being semi-antisocial off to go off. Have a great week, all. I hope you're good there, Steve. I understand the semi-antisocial thing, man. You can always just keep Son in the distance to keep you entertained. Russell Musgrave, nice to see you tuning in there too as well. We are going to now get into Tom Thorne, the second part. More of our new friend Tom Thorne from St. John's, Newfoundland. Here we go.
So you went from the PTR band now, and then I left at that point, and I remember you were you came up to Toronto with the Thomas Trio, and it was your place on Craven Road that became management headquarters, rehearsal headquarters. All the band and their girlfriends lived there, plus you. and all the displaced Newfoundlanders. And it was quite a party zone for a couple of years.
It was a great party house that's almost down by the beaches, detached, which, you know, a lot of those houses in that area weren't detached. Big, massive open space. They actually filmed a video for, I can't remember what song it was. One of the Thomas Trio songs.
I think it was 142 Through.
No, that was filmed in a studio. I think it might have been Sun Rising.
It was, yes, you're right.
And it was all done in one big take. We basically had a house party, and the cameraman went all through the house, one big take, and it ends opening up the fridge, and Randy Canoe's inside the fridge, and he hands out a beer. He was the only one that could fit in the fridge. But yeah, I've seen it a couple times on Much Music, but it's hard to find.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get a good copy of it for the documentary at some point.
That'd be awesome to relive some of that stuff.
Because I got, another thing that kind of got the ball rolling for the documentary was that I had read somewhere that Bell Media was digitizing all footage from all the years of Much Music stuff to license to people. And I was like, that's interesting. So I've been in contact with them and gave them like a 2-page list of stuff that I want. And they're going to do a search and get it. And then obviously I'll be able to license it. But obviously I'm not going to get them to do the search or license it until I have money from a broadcaster.
Exactly. And that's what's coming down the pipe.
But it's there. They've digitized it all into 4K footage. So it's there.
Oh, good.
Everything, like all the Mike and Mike's Cross Canada Adventures, Much East with Mike Campbell. Like there's all kinds of stuff. They came down here 4 or 5 times. I mean, they came down here in like 86 or 87, filmed PTR, Dead Reckoning. There's all kinds of stuff there, right?
Oh yeah, no, it's
pretty exciting.
Got to get the clearance for it, of course.
Oh yes.
So Tom,
that's it. I got to license it first, then I got to get clearance from all the artists, just like I had to do with the T-shirts.
Exactly.
But luckily, I have all the contacts now from doing the T-shirt stuff. And while I was talking to them about the T-shirts, I mentioned in the documentary to give them a heads up. So, you know, kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, right?
Exactly. Well, it was the same when I did the Joey interview. The Joey Shithead interview a few months back. I circled around the 1983 show, I think it was, that you were around for, and we talked a lot about that. And I asked Joey if we could use that in the documentary, and he gave us some clearance there too. So you're collecting sources, but that's great. You're using all your Newfoundland people and your connections that you've made over the years to put this together. I think it's an amazing labor of love. And I hope you get a broadcaster to come on and give you some dough to make it happen. And you're no stranger to that type of world either. Like after the music and all that, you went into art direction. You were doing digital arts. You started a magazine called The Current, which was like an entertainment paper at home. And you spent a good chunk of almost 2 decades doing that, or is that still your day job? Or
Yeah. Well, I originally got started back in when I was like 14 or 15 years old. I would do hand-painted T-shirts for my friends. They'd come to me with the cover of Stiff Little Fingers Go For It. Can you put that on a T-shirt? So I would draw it by hand, color it in, and sell them to them. And then from there, I just started doing like T-shirt poster designs for bands, like Thomas Trio and obviously my own band PTR. Then when we moved to Toronto, I continued to do that. I actually worked for a while with, I don't remember the guy's name, Mates Entertainment Group. Okay. I did some CD designs for them. He was a Newfoundlander who was up there, started a King Apparatus, a few bands like that. I did their graphics and their T-shirt design. Then I went to school and basically got educated in what I was already doing graphic design. And then from there, I went and did 3D animation, visual effects and stuff like that. And I got hired by a company called Buzz Image Group in Montreal, doing animation and visual effects for big Hollywood movies. I moved to Montreal then, spent 3 or 4 years there. most of the people I ended up to meet and hang out with were all writers with the alternative press in Montreal. Our Magazine, IC, right? The Mirror, and to hang out with those guys all the time. And moved back here, started up Digital to Go, a little small boutique animation visual effects company with Pat Dunn.
Mm-hmm.
We were on the go for 4 years and then, went bankrupt. But I was back here about a year and I was like, geez, there's so much art and culture and stuff going here. How come we don't have one of those like alt magazines like now or, So I started one up. And that lasted about 4 or 5 years and then obviously went under. We started bi-weekly at first, but then it was too much work. It was kind of like those papers, music, art, theater, gay column, a sex column, news.
Yeah, the
standard. So got pissed a lot of people off. Had the police come, a couple police investigations a few times. Charges dropped.
Yeah, that's in the magazine business was hard sort of in the heyday. And I think the current was kind of, you guys were battling the change from
it was around that time. Digital was just coming up, right? It was early late 90s, early 2000s. The internet was starting to take off. It was fun though.
It was cool to do.
So there was a couple more alternative papers after that lasted 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Here and then, just couldn't do it, right?
Exactly.
Like you said, the internet
changed everything.
That did.
Tom, it's been great catching up. I got a ton of photos and stuff that I'm going to add to this so people can get an idea of the scope of what you've been doing, what is happening with Screech NL, and what's happening with Screech in the documentary. It's a really interesting part of Newfoundland culture that you're capturing, and it's a part of the culture for me. It's personally, that time, that sort of 4 to 6 year period. When we all hung out on Atlantic Place steps and then we started becoming musicians and playing in bars. And it was such a huge part of my life. I still kind of feel like I'm there most days. But
make sure you show a graphic of one of the outfits. Your first band.
I missed you there. What was that?
I said, make sure you show a graphic of the Waffet design shirt.
Yes, what a fucking my first punk band. That's right. Yeah, you've got that on the docket as well, which is really cool. I think we've covered everything.
There's still so many bands that I can still add.
Oh, I know.
That I'm still trying to work out. I mean, Lemon Tree, Chevy, fucking Truck.
Yeah.
Like, there's still so many bands.
It's amazing how many bands. A town like St. John's, and I also found Winnipeg was very like it too. And it might be the long winters, but to have that many original bands regularly coming up into the scene, 3, 4, 5 people getting together, writing, 10 to 15 original songs, having a career for a year or so, and then breaking up and starting again and writing all these new songs. I don't see that elsewhere. I see a lot of cover bands happening over and over again, but it seems like Newfoundland is really, really big on like, we're going to make original music. We're going to make our stamp. We're going to do our thing.
Yeah.
I find that amazing.
I mean, during the 80s, the 80s and the early 90s here in town was, like you said, the scene there was just so much.
Yeah.
And what was nice about it was that, you could go to a bowling alley or a pool hall or a church basement on a Friday night and watch a bunch of hardcore bands, and then Saturday night watching the Roger House play blues. But it's all the same people that were at the punk show the night before.
Yep.
Right?
It was an
just
amazing
one big scene. It didn't matter what kind of music it was. People went out and supported everybody.
Yep. It was, I don't know. Like I say, I've never seen a time like that in my life. And I'm so glad to have been a part of it. And I'm so happy that people like yourself are working to preserve the story of what we went through. It's really cool. It's really
yeah. I think it's important. I think
it is too. So, Tom, the Screech NL website is up now, and that's is that just screechnl.com?
Screechnl.com.
Okay. So that's up. You can go buy your T-shirts there now and support the Robbie Thomas Fund, and also get the word going to try and get some more interest in making this documentary and getting some funding behind Tom and the gang that he's got there. It'd be great. Did we miss anything, Tom? Or
I think we pretty much covered everything.
we're pretty much
Talked about
covered.
current, the T-shirt, documentary, 80s bands.
Yeah, okay.
No, all good.
Covered it. Excellent. Tom, it's been great. It's been great hanging for a few minutes, and it's really nice to catch up and see you again in person. And I look forward when I'm back this fall. I'm hoping to get back this fall again. Maybe we'll get together and have an actual coffee in person. That'd be nice to see you.
Yeah.
See some folks.
Oh yeah, we never talked about White Trash Compactor.
Oh, we didn't. Tell us a little bit about that. It's a great shirt. So where did that shirt come from, and what's White Trash Compactor all about?
White Trash Compactor was kind of a one-off band. Jody, the Thomas Tree and the Red Albino just broke up.
Yeah.
Jody was just kind of hanging out, not really doing much. Then we got a call from the Bong and the Liz Band crowd saying they wanted to come up to Toronto and do a show.
Mm.
So I think Lee probably pulled some connections and got him a gig at Sneaky D's. So me and Jody were sitting around, and I said, we should start a punk band to open up for them when they come up. He's like, yeah, sure. And the show was like in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
We didn't have any songs. We had no band, nothing. So I was like, let's make a few calls. So I got Bob bass, Randy Canute, drums,
Yeah.
Jody played guitar, Dick Snyder on a lead guitar, and
That's
me
right.
singing.
Yeah.
And me and Jody said, hey, well, we need to write at least 6 or 7 or 8 songs. So we went off. I wrote a couple. He wrote a couple. We co-wrote a couple together. Got together once with the group on acoustic guitars. Basically showed them the basics.
Yeah.
I think a week later we jammed once as a band in the basement at Craven Road. Then we got up, and that was it.
Wow.
Brian Powell recorded the show, which I've released. There's a bunch of videos on Facebook of the shows. No video footage, just the music with the lyrics and stuff.
Right.
And we played one more time 10 years later on the roof of Junctions for a current magazine 1 year. It was either 1 or 2 year anniversary.
Yeah.
And we had a bunch of bands played, and we got up and did all the songs again with a couple like Stiff Little Fingers covers and stuff like that. But all in all, it was a one-off, but it was fun.
It goes to
The
show.
recordings are, they're not the greatest because, like I said, we only rehearsed once, right? But all in all, they're great musicians, so it came out pretty good.
Yeah, and it is a bit of a point towards the power of a good band name. White Trash Compactor seems like one of those bands that's been around forever, and they've been playing for years. It's just because the name is so good. It's just like it immediately sort of has an existence all of its own, even without the music and the band.
I remember when me and Jody were sitting around trying to think of the name. I don't know exactly who came up with it, but it was one of those things. As soon as it was said, it was like, oh, that's the name. Right?
Exactly.
And that's the one comment I have from a lot of people. Great band name, man. Great band name.
Yeah, it really is. The power of a good name.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom. Well, thank you very much, my friend. I wish you all the best. I hear you're having a heat wave back in Newfoundland right now, are you?
Yeah, it's a hot one today.
That's
supposed to be like this all week, actually, I think.
That's good.
But that's the way it usually goes. See, Regatta Day is next Wednesday. Not this one coming, the 7th of August. And usually up to Regatta Day, we have really nice weather. And then as soon as Regatta Day hits, goes down.
Turns over, and it can turn over real quick back there.
Oh, yes, really quick. Really quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you take care of yourself, buddy.
Make sure you give me a contact when you're heading back.
I will, for sure. And I'll send you a little snippet from this to get your approval before we run it, and everything should be cool.
Excellent. You have a good one, man. Cheers.
Okay, brother. You
nice
have a
chat,
good one, man. Cheers.
All right, bud.
Hey folks, thanks for tuning in to the Whiskey Wednesday show. Every Wednesday we will be here, rain or shine, richer or poorer. Tip jar is in the link above. Never expected but always appreciated. Never confuse the size of your paycheck with the size of your talent. I've got all the money I'll ever need if I die by midnight. Always appreciated, never expected. Please feel free to drop us a line regarding anything, including a link to your money. Cheers.
Might have been Halloween.
Why did you pick that clip for the video?
Well, exactly. Why am I wearing a Christmas toque in that video? Good question. So, George Thorne, great interview, was. Thanks, yes. Some great merch there, some great shirts, great bands, great conversation, great trip down memory lane. And Tom, your beautiful smile kept coming through, even though the video was a little glitchy. Kept glitching at perfect catches of that beautiful smile that you always had. A couple cool things. We got a great Coast to Coast Fever for the David Whiffen tune. We're going to do that tonight as the video rewind, because it's introed by Rick Mercer, of course, more Newfoundland ties, and also Carlos Chinchilla from El Salvador, who's been watching recently, said that was how he found the show. So it's a little throw out to Carlos tonight down in El Salvador, who's been tuning in with a little David Whiffen intro by Rick Mercer. But before we get to that, we're going to finish with a song we've never done before. Here we go. This will be interesting.
Oh boy.
This used to be a regular up until the end. I think it stopped in the Bad Intent days, and we haven't done it in a while. And I thought, let's give it a try. So we're going to give that a whirl tonight. Next week is All Request, which we've got some great requests coming in, including a Fishing with Dave segment, I do believe. Fishing with Dave segment, excellent. How has fishing been, David?
It's been tough because of the heat.
Right.
But we've persevered.
Okay. Tough because the fish aren't biting, or tough because it's just so hot to be out?
It's both.
Both, yeah.
Truthfully, yeah.
Yeah.
It was rough last week.
Yeah, sitting in that heat. We've had a really, really, really warm really warm time up here.
But it looks good for Friday. I'm going to try to get out and get something again for us. So.
Excellent. More fishing with Dave would be great. Mr. Grant, how are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Yeah, we need a little nugget of wisdom for Allison's 5 minutes with Mr. Grant. Do you have something to report?
I caught some of our pal William Prince at the Newport Folk Festival from last weekend,
Wow.
representing our great country.
That's amazing.
We're the Americans.
How was it?
It was good. I didn't see footage of him. I'm
Right.
still to find that, but I saw him on stage on a couple of the sing-alongs
Yes.
with Mavis Staples doing The Wait.
Oh, really?
I'm like, I thought this was supposed to be folk. Is this classic rock? But then he was also on stage with Joan Baez,
Oh, my God.
and she did We Shall Overcome with Dozier backing her up, the band Dozier. And they had obviously practiced the song, but they had not practiced it with Joan Baez. So they started playing it. And she came in where she thought she should come in, and they were already on the next part. And she kind of ad-libbed, through it.
Well, that's okay.
Pulled it off anyway.
Yeah,
she's a pro, yeah.
I love William. I think he's
Yeah.
one of the. I mean, musically, I love his music, but as far as sort of just a human being, he is such a cool guy to just be in a. I don't know what it is about him. It's so calming. He's so calming, but he's so he's a really interesting cat.
And a distinctive voice. What a
Yeah.
voice.
And the way he
Man,
plays
oh, man.
guitar, everything about his stage presence and his performance is amazing. He's a great cat. He deserves everything he's getting.
Absolutely.
Which is really cool. And I was so proud to see that happen. And it's amazing. Neil, how are you?
Hello.
How are
Fine,
things?
thank you.
Yeah. How are things out on the river?
Things on the river are absolutely grand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been swimming?
Not well. I'm in the pool down in Belleville on Tuesday, and I'll go again tomorrow. But,
Right.
I've seen the river a couple of times over the weekend.
Okay.
It was nice. It's can't really swim in front of my place just yet because the current is too strong. But we go up a few doors, and there's an access lot, and the river's much wider there, and the current much more gentle as a result. So, gone up there swimming.
There you go. Is Stan swimming a lot?
Yes and no. I mean, like when I swim from my place, he just gets in the water and he's
Right
straight
across.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
But,
Destination based.
yeah, well, exactly, because then you can go over there and either yell at the geese or roll in their poop, or,
Oh, right.
or preferably both.
A little bit of both simultaneously. Okay, we're going to take you back a little bit here, ladies and gentlemen. There's a song, I think this was on, I think this goes back to Quiet Storyhouse even. I'm not sure. Yeah, this was the first, 2006. That was the first time, so this would have been written in 2003. I wrote this for a friend of mine who turned out to be an asshole.
For the record, it wasn't me.
No, didn't know you back then. Look how far we've fallen down, sitting in our empty rooms. Look who's falling down again. I can't be there for you. You threw it all away. You watched it all go by. Where were you when I needed a friend? Where were you? Where were you? We sit around so long, waiting for something to do. Things aren't that bad for me. I'm just feeling a little sorry. You threw it all away. You watched it all go by. Where were you when I needed a friend? Where were you? Where were you? You watched it all away. You watched it all away. You watched it all go by. You threw it all away. Where were you when I needed a friend? Where were you? Oh, nice, ladies and gentlemen. A little brand new old tune for you. A little Where Were You? Clark Hancock, Lisa Anthony, Joe Murray, thanks for tuning in. Clark, we need to talk. I need to hear your voice, buddy. I know I've left you hanging a few times recently. I've been going through this weird social thing the last while. I'm trying to get back into being able to talk to people again. But I miss the fuck out of you, brother. Next week is all request, plus some fishing with David. We're going to tune in a little bit now on the way out to watch some Rick Mercer talk about one of his favorite Canadian songs. Before we get to that, though, if you're out and around, it's hot. It's easy to get caught up in being angry. Try not to. Be kind, be nice, and remember to be like Steve. Cheers. We learned a song for you. When you first watched the Whiskey Wednesday show, you said to me, "Do you know David Whiffen from Ottawa?" And
Yes.
I did some research, but last week when we were talking, you mentioned a song called "Coast to Coast Fever."
Yeah.
So
David Whiffen, I was spending time in the Gatineau outside of Ottawa
Right.
with friends of my partners, and they're all Ottawa Valley guys. And they were big into Ron Hines, and I was playing Ron Hines, and they liked Ron Hines too. And then they suggested that David Whiffen was their Ron Hines. And I can remember thinking, well, we'll see about that. And we put the record on. It was vinyl. It was David Whiffen, Coast to Coast Fever. And in many ways, I believe he is, because, as you know, everyone from Newfoundland and Labrador and your fans certainly know how much we admire Ron. And we believe that he should be there with the Jonies and the Neils, and he belongs there. But David Whiffen is one of those characters. And I don't want to speak for anyone in Ontario or who were fans of his. I think he had a lot of fans. Mm-hmm. But certainly in my generation, I'd never heard tell of him. And the Coast to Coast Fever album, pretty close to perfect as far as the singer-songwriter goes. It's a pretty amazing album. And so that's fantastic. I'm looking forward to this.
So this is a David Whiffen song that Rick Mercer asked us to play. And it's a song called Coast to Coast Fever. It goes just like this. 2, 3.
He started to try some things been on his mind, living the life of a man on the go and having a real good time. She came along with not much to show, but he used to think she was fine. Before she left, the money was spent on a good times, whiskey and wine. Now it's a bar, stools and blinkers. Couldn't sleep yet anyway, but it's low inside. The taste of fame has turned the tide. He's got a coast to coast fever, a highway on his mind. 7 years passed alone at last. He decided to hit the road. With his mind on fire and a heart full of ashes, he carried his heavy load. He played his tunes for empty rooms right on down the line. But before he went, the money got spent on a good time, whiskey and wine. Now it's a bar, stools and blinkers. Couldn't sleep yet anyway. It's low inside. The taste of fame has turned the tide. He's got a coast to coast fever, a highway on his mind. Ship came in, he was tired and thin, and he didn't know what lay in store. The people came around and the rooms were filled. They were busting through the door. He drew the crowds and they cheered so loud. Well, it made them feel so fine. Before they went, the money got spent on a good times, whiskey and wine. Now it's a bar, stool and blinkers. Couldn't sleep yet anyway. Now it's low inside. The taste of fame has turned the tide. He's got a coast to coast fever, a highway on his mind. Sits alone like there's no one home, just staring at the door. The bottle keeps him company and he wonders what he stays here for. It's when he drew the crowds and they cheered so loud, made him feel so fine. But before he went, the money got spent on good times, whiskey and wine. Now it's a bar, stool and blinkers. Couldn't sleep yet anyway. inside. The taste of fame has turned the tide. He's got a coast-to-coast fever. The highway on his mind. Now it's the bar, stools and blinkers. Couldn't sleep yet anyway, but it's low inside. The taste of pain has turned to tide. He's got a coast-to-coast fever. The highway on his mind. He's got a coast-to-coast fever. Highway on his mind.
I'll admit it, all those mistakes were mine. Yeah, we're doing the weekly guest song, and next week we've got Joey Serling coming in, which is going to be great. And we're also going to do the contest giveaway next week for Rick's book, so tune in for that. But next week, Joey's requested a Springsteen tune that I've got to learn. It's great, but it puts me to my task of getting lyrics and chords under my fingers there, which is a fun time.
Once again, thanks for spending another Wednesday with us here at Storyhouse Studios. Thanks to Trainer, Yorkville, and the Longtooth Beverage Company for being a part of the show. We love our time on the Whiskey Wednesday show and appreciate all of your support. Don't forget to hit up the tip jar if you feel so inclined. Never expected, but always appreciated. Tune in every week for more guests, songs, stories, drinks, and gear talk. And don't forget to visit the website, www.kentizzard.com, to sign up for the Whiskey Wednesday wrap-up. Compiled by Allison, this is a monthly overview with highlights, directories of songs, and so much more. Be kind, be helpful, be happy, be safe. See you next week.
On a Jim Beam cannon.